Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanallah, another phenomenal individual. Today we're going to be highlighting Abdullah ibn Masood radiallahu anhu, a person who's very short and skinny and of dark complexion. Some companions actually thought he was a black Sahabi. We know about him that he excelled, subhanallah, and he was very close to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he eventually embraces Islam, he becomes the keeper of the sandals of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his secret, subhanallah. One of his first interaction is when he was as a shepherd with the sheep outside, and two individuals come and approach him and ask him for milk. Those individuals were none other than the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr. Little did he know that this was a prophet standing in front of him. The Prophet ﷺ asked him for some milk, and he says that these animals don't belong to me. It will be me deceiving my master, so therefore I cannot pass them on to you. However, the Prophet ﷺ sees an animal, a sheep, which does not produce milk, and says, if you allow me access to the animal, this one of course cannot produce milk. I will use that animal and I will get milk from there. The Prophet touches the udder and it produces milk. The Prophet drinks milk, Abu Bakr drinks milk. Abdullah Masood says that I also drank milk, subhanallah. Eventually I go to Abbas radiallahu anhu, I find out that this is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I go to the Prophet alaihi wasallam and I embrace Islam. He says that I was the sixth person to embrace Islam. And when he starts embracing Islam, he falls in love with this spectacular deen. When they finally got together and decided that we need someone to recite Quran out loud in front of the Kaaba, Abdullah ibn Masood put his hand up and says, I will do it. He makes his way to the Kaaba and he starts reciting Surah Rahman, Allahu Akbar. The mobs attack him, and what happens? He falls unconscious. Eventually, when he gains consciousness, he says that, can I do it again? I don't mind doing it again, subhanallah. He says that I learned approximately 70 surahs from the mouth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine how close he was to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet says that if anyone wants to learn the Quran as the way it was revealed, let them go and listen from Ibn Masood radiallahu anhu. He is one day, the Prophet is one day passing by him, and the Prophet says that Ibn Masood recite Quran. Subhanallah, he says, I started reciting Surah An-Nisa, and eventually I saw my beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam crying due to the words that were revealed by my master, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Masood was that person that participates in the expeditions, especially in the Battle of Badr, when Abu Jahl was killed by those two youngsters. Ibn Masood goes and finishes him off, and he puts his feet on the chest of Abu Jahl, and he says, "Oh enemy of Allah, you have lost today." And he gets the sword and he strikes and he kills Abu Jahl, subhanallah. This phenomenal individual, we know that he had a lot of love. The Prophet would actually grab hold of his hand and he says, "Oh Ibn Masood, let me teach you." He says that the Prophet taught me tashahhud as the way that he taught us Quran, subhanallah. He eventually gets married, and he gets married to Zainab bint Abu Muawiyah, and we realize that this companion Umar al-Khattab has a lot of love for him, subhanallah. Umar al-Khattab would actually appoint him as a governor, but eventually he passes away. He avoids the fitnas and the trials during the time of the trials, subhanallah, and he says that I want my migration, the companion Zubair radiallahu anhu, the person with whom I migrated to Medina, I want him to lead my Salatul Janazah. Finishing off with one incident, that is, one day he was trying to take the miswak from the tree. When he was doing that, he exposed his legs, and what happened was some of the companions started laughing at him. And the Prophet happened to pass by, and he says that, "You're laughing at the legs of Ibn Masood?" He goes, "Ya Rasulullah, yes we are." He says that if the legs of Ibn Masood were placed on a scale and Mount Uhud on the other, the legs of Ibn Masood would be much more heavier and more powerful on the day of resurrection, subhanallah. Learn about these phenomenal companions. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.